Hello and welcome. Now, if that intro wasn't obvious enough, talking a little X-Men, talking a little Transformers. I haven't really talked about the crossovers on this channel before, but I guess we'll give it. Okay, for the newbies, back in 2005, Transformers made a deal with Star Wars to produce transforming Star Wars action figures. Which, great idea, horrible execution. The toys were admittedly pretty crap. So you had things like a Star Destroyer that could turn into a different Star Destroyer, and then turn into Anakin Skywalker, who could turn into Darth Vader. Great idea. Actually horrible physical plastic. So, and in 2008, they signed on to Marvel to do the same thing. So they made, transforming action figures of the main Marvel cast of comic book characters and all that. But that sort of ended in 2011. But apparently it didn't because of today's subject. This is new for 2021. I'm considering this in the crossovers line. This is a Transformers X-Men Ultimate X-spanse. X-spanse. I was gonna say it's an ultimate expense. Ultimately expensive is what it is. So here's the box, and it is so freaking nostalgic. Freaking 90s as fuck. So we do have the standard Transformers logo right here. We have a Marvel Comics logo. Obviously the big yellow X-Men logo. And we also have this logo, 2021, with the X-Men jet and the Autobot symbol. Blah, blah, blah. There's its name, Ultimate X-spanse. There's a picture of it in robot mode. You get some more stuff right up here. You get pictures of Wolverine and Sabretooth on the side. Now, I know this has been done to death, but I can never unsee Wolverine's mask as two Batman kissing. Enjoy that mental image. We got another picture of Ultimate X-spanse on the back. More stuff. Robot, Jet, Wolverine. Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting right there. The bottom, you got nothing. And yeah. Inside, I'm gonna just take that away. We got this. And just to give you a shot of the inside, there's a schematic of the Blackbird along with a bunch of X-Men. So you have Iceman, Colossus, Gambit, Deadpool, Wolverine. It's too hard to see without like super zooming in. But it's schematic of the X-wing or the X-jet. And you got, again, Iceman, yeah. So Jean Grey, Iceman, Colossus, Gambit, Deadpool, and Wolverine. So that's pretty cool. But how is the figure? So here is the X-jet, aka the Ultimate X-spanse, aka the toy equivalent of the toy equivalent of as many X-Men references as we can shove in there. So now this is actually specifically a model of a Lockheed Martin SR-71 Blackbird, and it's ridiculously based off the one used in the 90s X-Men cartoon, even down to the color. Because even though the name of it's Blackbird, it's blue because it was blue in the show. So, that's that. It's also, the mold itself is remolded from the studio series Leader Class Jetfire. You know, the movie Jetfire. Like the Revenge of the Fallen Jetfire. And I haven't messed with that toy because fuck Michael Bay. But if this toy's anything to go on, then that toy might actually be good, even though I don't really want it. But yeah, I'm not a huge X-Men fan. Like, I'm pretty casual. Like, I've never read the comics. I've saw bits of the 90s cartoon. The new X-Men, or the one of the follow-up sequels, I think the Wolverine one was pretty cool. I've seen most of the X-Men movies, at least the most recent ones. The Deadpool movies were great, but... And honestly, I do like this toy. Surprisingly, it's solid as heck. Like, nothing... like, no part is going to fly off and be loose. Except for these fucking wings. Which we'll talk about in a second. But it does have one very long, smooth shaft, or fuselage, if you will, that leads down to a nice little purple translucent cockpit. And also, it's got light piping. There you go. Cockpit piping. That sounds inappropriate. You can actually, oh god. It does light up from the bottom. In my opinion, it does look good from the top. From this direction. So if you turn it around, oh boy. You know, tolerance of kibble is a funny thing. There's basically a whole folded up robot right there that really doesn't incorporate the plane at all. The only real parts of it that become the plane are these intakes because they become legs. But honestly, it doesn't bug me that much. From top down viewing, it looks really good. As much as the panel lines are kind of obvious and unfortunate, if you're willing to just look at it, it looks really good. Like, I can definitely see the X-Men getting into this and flying around, going to save the day and fight discrimination. I guess I could mention this section, this little nose cone, is made of soft-ish, more rubbery plastic, so you won't jab out your sister's eye with it, thankfully. And other than that, it's got quite a bit of molding and detail there, all those lines and things. And he's got nice little red X's on each wing, which, looking at the model, they're actually bigger in the show, or just looking at that intro I played earlier. My one problem with the jet mode, these fucking wings. I can't put them straight. That is my biggest problem in both modes, are the flippin' wings. Now, there is a solution to this. Because the wings forward facing like this are accurate to the show, but they're easily removable. And if you flip them around, not only is it way more secure, but it's also much more accurate to the real life Blackbird plane that this is based on. So you have to pick and choose. Do you want show accuracy or do you want realistic accuracy, I guess? Other than that, he feels solid. This feels. I've already mentioned it's solid. It's got a tiny bit of weight to it. There's no die cast. The only things I really painted that I can tell are all the yellow bits on it, and I'm guessing these red X's, because this blue plastic does not seem to be painted. So you can definitely yeet it somewhere, and it probably won't paint chip, although the yellow on the bottom, but at least the top won't paint chip. So there's the hilariously, there's a tiny bit of articulation. These rear thrusters are on ball joints, and every ball joint can be a swivel. So you have semi-limited spinning. You can position them however you want, slightly. Well, okay, the spinning is unlimited, but the side-to-side motion is slightly limited. So that's pretty much it for the jet mode. If you want, I guess we can bring in the little minifigures. Because yes, this is a liter, an $80 toy, close to a $90 toy, with effect parts and accessory minifigures. So we got Sabretooth and a horribly painted Wolverine made out of a slightly bendy plastic. This Wolverine is particularly not accurate in the face whatsoever. There's way too much black there. Like, there's no face there whatsoever. Like, there's no distinct features. It's just as if he was completely covering his mask. Although, if you were actually practicing social distancing, maybe that yellow is his mask and his face is black. I don't know. But they don't go anywhere on the jet mode. You can sort of stand him up, but not really. Because his feet are too fucking far apart, apparently. He just refuses to stand up. Sabretooth has decent molding to represent his face. Definitely leaning much more into the cartoon. But he can sort of. Can he actually? He can actually stand up. Will he stand up on the plane? Yes, he will. There you go. And I know the instructions say something about putting the figure somewhere. Also, you're going to need these instructions for the first time. Apparently, I'll show you where they go in robot mode. But first off, I do really like this jet mode. Under kibble aside, it's definitely something I want to play with. It's not like a throwaway mode. Like, it's a solid, good mode. And I particularly bought it because it's a reference to the cartoon. You know. You can definitely wield it by the shaft if you want. And also, hilariously, due to the transformation, you can have something that resembles articulation, like a broken neck, but also kind of looks like a bird doing something, and now it's bowing its head. I find that kind of amusing. Yeah. That counts as articulation in my book. So, now we have to go to robot mode. And that's where you bring in these instructions. Because this transformation, it sure is something. Not yet sure quite what it is, but alright. So the best way to start, unhook these. Unhook them. We're going to work one leg at a time. So, oh, this is going to be a thing. So the intake, you want to fold it up. It's on a double hinge, so just fold it down. And now we have access to all the panels that make up his leg. Because, oh boy. Oh, and his taint. I forgot to mention his taint is plugged in jet mode. Yeah, it's just, yep. I don't know, what kind of jokes do you want me to make? It's too easy, I don't feel like doing it. So you basically, these fucking wings, I'm just gonna remove them. They do nothing but first rate in this process. So this panel, along with okay, we're getting the leg out of the way. First off, use a hip ratchet. Get these two panels, those separate, and you're gonna want to just leave that like that. And then you come to, well, this I guess is the best way to do this. You have to separate these two blue panels. This one you will rotate down and hinge up, and the other one you will do the same thing with. Rotate or hinge it up until it's out of the way. Come on. Rotate and just collapse. There's a little tab right there that goes into that slot. You just want to make sure it's locked all the way in. Yep. And then this panel, it'll fold back here, and it'll clip right into there, and there. And you can fold the foot. And this panel, this little wing is already in position, so that's the main part of the leg done. Rotate the hip, so it's like that. And there you basically have one leg done. So now we have to do the same thing on the other side. So open it up, if it wasn't open already. Also, I folded up this landing gear already, but you want to fold up these two landing gears so they're like that. So he has actual love handles, and they're out of the way. Fold panel, leave that. I'll talk about this in a second. Fold the kneecap on that double hinge, and split the leg. Rotate, lock, rotate, and come on. And come on with the come on. Don't. There we go. Until it's locked in place like that. Same thing. Tab, tab, fold down, and adjust as you desire. And then watch as it comes completely unpegged. So now we have the lower section all done. Basically. We're going to deal with all of this. So to start, we can split the arms, rotate down, rotate, fold, rotate, fold, wrong way, and then you can flip down the hidden X on his chest, flip down his chest panel to reveal his head while it fights you the whole time, and you legitimately could just leave it like that. You could, but we do have stuff to clean up. We have a giant penis that we have to clean up a tiny bit. So to start, take this section right here, and pop them out. You could leave them like this, but the instructions want you to rotate them all the way around till they're like that. But before we have to do that, we have to come to the rest of the backpack and fold it down, fold out his wings, fold this piece down, make sure that locks in place, and then we can come to his giant cockpit section. Use the bit that I was making fun of in the vehicle mode. It'll peg in right here, peg that in, and then fold that down along his spine. And then the backpack rotates up and tabs in like that. And then you just leave this panel like that. And you're done. That is the robot mode. That certainly is a transformation. I'm trying to figure out how I feel about it. Okay. These panels, I don't like basically the spaghetti engineering on the legs. I don't like that, where you just let the panel float in limbo while having to do other things. I'm not a big fan of that. The rest of it, stuff happens. Sort of. It's one of those. It felt like one of those transformations you go, wait, that goes where? Why do you do that? Especially with these panels. Like this whole thing flipping around feels completely unnecessary. It's like, why? Because they look bad. Frankly, the promotional material, if you look at pictures of him, he's not even transformed properly. Like his head is all the way down. Like these panels, especially looking at the Toys R Us images. But let's actually, I guess, reattach these wings. You don't need the parts for them. I just prefer to do that because they're gonna fucking fall off anyway. This is the robot mode, and it is all kinds of hilarious and awesome. This is ultimate X-spanse in his robot mode. And I just love... Oh, we're not even finished with all the references, but first off, still loving the 90s cartoon reference. Frickin', he's definitely influenced by Rob Liefeld, given all these goddamn pouches on him. I'm surprised he doesn't have robo muscles at this point. Like, I'm... like, just roided up robot. Nope, that's Colossus. Essentially, we've got the most obvious one right there, being the visor. Nice reference to Cyclops. And yeah, I definitely think, like, if I were to try and make up an in-universe reason for this, my best thought would be like Professor Xavier talking to Beast and be like, so. Although, what was I? All the Sentinels running around, making us look bad. We need our own mascot giant robot. And Beast taking a little bit of time to think about it and go, what if we could turn the Blackbird into a robot? Into a bigger version of one of us. So you're like, I like the drugs you're on. Give me some. That's my rushed in-universe answer. But yeah, it's a giant robot. I think it's supposed to be a giant robot because it's leader class. For size comparison, here he is with Generation 2 Sandstorm, current, well, not current, but a mainline Transformers figure. And now I'm thinking about it. I wanted to talk more about the crossovers because they've been doing more stuff recently. They did the Ecto 1 Transformer from Ghostbusters. They did a DeLorean Transformer. Never really watched much of Ghostbusters. I watched Back to the Future. Never really stuck with me. They did a Top Gun Transformer. Don't care. But this was the only guy that I looked at and said, yeah, I'm probably going to get that. At least in robot mode, he also feels good. Like, again, he's not loose or anything. That's an actual joint there. That's not loose plastic. Like, he feels solid. The plastic is as good as it can be. Nothing feels cheap. The chest panel is probably the only piece that's probably the thinnest because there's nothing supporting it. But, like, all those panels, Constantine pretty well into his back and his legs. So he feels solid. Nothing feels like it's going to come undone. I don't like this panel, but it doesn't feel like it's going to pop off or break. And I do appreciate the callback to his jet mode with his wings. These sort of wings made out of the main body of the jet. I guess we can talk about the face again. Because he actually does have a face behind that visor. If you go, whoop, he does have a nice metallic silver face with red eyes. I feel like that might be a reference to Colossus, but I'm not sure. It could just be a very generic robot face. But I like the red eyes. I kind of wish he had light piping. And his kind of neutral expression is like, I feel like he should have a happy expression because he's a good guy. But, oh well. That's a nice head. I've already mentioned all the pouches. I don't know. One thing I don't like, this. The fact that his hands don't tab in. You could call it a point of articulation, but I don't. It's just annoying. So, speaking of that, I guess we can go into some posability. So his head is not on a ball joint, but it does have a swivel. Put the visor down just to get free range. You can look up that far. If you want, you can get more head articulation by clicking the head down, and you can go all the way up. Shoulders look like they should be on. They're on ratchets, but they're not. They do have nice smooth in and out. You can go all the way around if you get shit out of the way. All the way around. You do have a small amount of in and out butterfly motion. Although it's also one thing that's annoying. There's no way to actually lock in this panel because it just kind of sits behind the torso in robot mode. It's very annoying. I wish it sort of clicked in, but also somehow gave you more butterfly motion. Like, because I don't know how well you can see the butterfly motion, but that is pretty much all you get. You do get a bicep swivel. You do get a 90-degree elbow. You get a wrist swivel, which is nice. And a back of the wrist swivel, which is completely pointless. I don't understand why. That has nothing to do with anything. I don't know. You do get a waist joint, which can give you that much side to side. You do get an ab crunch, but if you want, you can untuck his shirt and get a complete ab crunch. Very nice. Ooh, love me that ab crunch. Just got to tab his shirt back in. Hips. are ratcheted. Can go all the way forward. Can go back about that far. Beautiful ratcheted spread. Beyond the Van Damme. Come on. You can go, oh yeah, that's a beautiful spread. And also, longtime Transformers fans will remember back in the Combiner Wars era of 2015-esque, all the Transformers with hip ratchets, like their first ratchet went like way too far. Thankfully, this guy goes just far enough for some dynamic A postures. And it's also kind of a bitch to stand up. I kind of have to, I don't like them stock straight. So one ratchet out on each side and sort of put his feet like that is the easiest way I found to stand him up. Because just with his feet stock straight, he's quite a pain in the ass to stand up. But you do get a thigh swivel. You do get a ratcheted double knee. So you got the bottom one. And then you got the top one, giving you 90-degree bend right there. Can you get further 90 degree? No. Just 90 degree. The foot is on a hinge, mostly for transformation, but it's nice to have a toe joint. And we've already mentioned his heel is on a ball joint. And every ball joint is a swivel. So, overall, this figure is pretty good. But we're not done there, because the references don't stop. He is the epitome of asking how many references you want in something, and them answering yes, because he has effect parts. Let me stand him up. He is still a pain to stand up. Come on. There. So, we come to these effect parts, and they are also references. This one being Energy Claws, basically Wolverine. And the other one being a reference to Psylocke, her energy blades. Was Psylocke in the 90s cartoon? Don't tell me, I don't care. And you come to this kind of stupid piece, which isn't technically a reference, but for some reason they've incorporated it to somehow attempt to make Wolverine look worse. I don't fucking like. Yeah, it does basically nothing. It's even shown on the box. Right there. Wolverine with that effect part. And also with a better paint job on his face, but I don't fucking understand the point of this. And apparently, the instructions, I want you to put the minifigs up here for some reason. Their feet aren't magnetized, there's no metal. It just wants you to fucking stand them up there. Frankly, I don't give enough of a shit. As cool as Sabretooth is, as cool as Wolverine is, I don't give a fucking shit about these minifigs. Because Wolverine can't fucking stand up. He can't fucking stand. But here, I'll show you. Oh, the instructions also say, yeah, right there. To put the effect part there, and you stand Wolverine and Sabretooth up on the kibble. But I feel like that's somehow supposed to be a reference to the movie where they fought on the Statue of Liberty. Like whichever X-Men movie, the first X-Men movie. But I don't see a fucking point in doing that. Because there's no pegs on their feet. There's no ports. It's just dumb. But these effect parts aren't dumb because they plug into the backs of the hands. To give him a set of Wolverine claws, which is awesome. And a Baraka blade. Or Psylocke blade, whichever you want. Which is also awesome. So yeah. Overall, I quite enjoy this figure. Also didn't show off. There's some underside wing molded in detail with a random peg there that I have no idea what's supposed to go on that. So, my final verdict, do I recommend this thing? Well, if you're an X-Men fan, and you're a fan of Transformers, you're a fan of the 90s cartoon, I can't say how... I can't see you not buying this thing. Sure, it's $90, which is pretty expensive, but... it's so many references! Like, how can you not go for so many references? Like, he is also just a pretty good toy on his own. References aside, he's a solid action figure with a fairly simple but bordering on complex transformation. And both modes are solid and look good. So, I have a hard time not recommending him just as a solid toy. As an X-Men reference, I fucking love it. But the question now is where to go from here. And I've already mentioned him once, and I'm wearing him on my shirt. But I really think they should retool this, paint it black, paint it up, and just make it Deadpool. I just want a transforming crossover Deadpool from this figure. Like, sure, redo the chest, redo the head, give us even more references, give us fourth wall breaking things. I don't know. Just go all the way into stupid and just, give us Deadpool. Deadpool the Transformer. Because I don't think Deadpool actually ever got a Transformers crossovers release. So, ultimate opportunity to make a Transformers crossovers Deadpool. And you could probably go further than that, but that's still. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Snick, 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 snick. I'm the best that I am at what I do. And what I do is horrible toy reviews. So I hope you'll enjoy this one. I hope I did enough to convince you that this guy might be worth your time. But I also don't think I said anything funny, so chimichangas! Until next time, keep it weird. Bye.